I want to pressure test this tracker bar to determine if each chamber is sealed from the other. In order to do that, I'm going to connect air from the air supply to this tube. I'm going to connect another tube to this one and stick it in a jar of water. I'll hold my finger over these two, which will seal them. When I turn on the air supply, I'll be pressurizing this chamber. If there's a leak between this chamber and this one, I'll get bubbles in the water. Then I move the water tube from this one to this one. I move the pressure to this one, and I seal these two with my finger. I pressurize this one. We already know if we didn't get any bubbles in the water on the first test, we already know that it's sealed from here to here. Now I pressurize this one, I stick this one in the water, and I look for bubbles. If there are no bubbles, then I move the pressure to this one, and I put a tube from here to the water, and I check to see if I have any bubbles there, and I keep doing that for the length of the tracker bar. I'm using the large tube that comes from this valve. I have it connected to this side. I have it connected to the first chamber on the tracker bar. And I have this tube connected to the second chamber. When I open the valve, you can hear the air rushing out of this chamber. I'm going to seal those two chambers with my thumb. Now I stick that in the water. I open the valve. There's no bubbles. That's good. I move the hose to the next, and I move this hose to this one. I can hear the air coming out of this chamber. I'm going to seal the second and the third with my thumb. I stick that in the water. No bubbles. Now I take this off. I move this to the third chamber. I put a smaller hose on this tube. I stick it in the water. Now I'm going to seal the third and the fourth. I'm pressurizing the third. I'm going to seal the third and fourth. I'm in the water. There's no bubbles. Okay, I move this over to here. And now I have to change to a smaller hose. I'll connect it to here. I'll be using this valve, which is connected to the smaller hose. Now I'm going to seal the fourth and the fifth, and no bubbles. I'll move this to this one, and the pressure to this one. Now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to seal 5 and 6. Stick it in the water. Continue down the line until I get to the end. And I seal the last two holes. Turn on the air. No bubbles. So I've pressure tested every chamber, and I had no leaks between chambers. I'm so happy. That means that that was a good construction. Now I'm going to pressure test the tracker bar that was cut out with a laser. I'm using the large hose. I'm going to stick that in the water. I'm going to seal these first two and open the pressure. And I have bubbles in the water. I'm pressurizing this one. I'm sealing these two with my thumb. This one's in the water and I'm getting bubbles in the water. That's not good. So that means that somehow I'm getting air to leak from this chamber to this one. I'm going to move the hose to here. I'm going to pressurize the second. And now I'm going to seal the second and third with my thumb. and I have bubbles in the water again. So I'm not happy. I'm not really sure what's leaking here. But if my construction on the other one was good, and if my glue joint between all the zigzags, which were on this one that were CNC cut, or the zigzags that I created, if I had a good glue joint between the tracker bar and the base plywood on one, I would expect to have a good glue joint on the other. One thing that was not sealed is that all of these holes that have been burnt into this piece of wood, the wood grain runs this way. And this has been given no treatment to seal that wood grain that's between this point and that point, or between these 2 points. And air can very easily travel in the end grain of the wood. So before I assume that these chambers, and I tested all of these and I had air bubbles between every chamber. When I get bubbles in the water, it's not very much. That's very little air. And I doubt whether that would have much effect as far as the organ playing. This is the full stream. Those few bubbles coming out of there, that's not a very big leak. That air that's showing up in the water, I doubt seriously that that would have any effect on the organ playing, but it's my intention to try and make this totally airtight. So first I want to find out why these are leaking between chambers, and I'm going to dose each one of these with a little bit of super glue to see if I can get that to seal up. I used a fresh bottle of cyanoacrylate or super glue, and I treated the inside surface of all these holes. Now when I started, every chamber was leaking. When I treated this with super glue the first time, I still had 4 leaks. I treated it again, and I still had 1 leak, and I treated that hole again the 3rd time, and then all the leaks went away. So I'm so happy again. That means that my construction of the zigzag pattern and my connection between this upper and lower part of the tracker bar, or the tracker bar and the base piece, was a good solid connection. I put the hose on here, turn the air on, you can hear this, plug these 2 holes, and there is no leak. And I did that between each chamber. So now I know that every chamber is sealed from the other. And it was the open wood grain between these holes that was causing the leak before. That laser goes in there and burns this wood. It gets things pretty hot. And the gases and the temperature in that probably opened up the pores of that wood. And that super glue will flow in there and seal those up. I'll probably run a drill bit or a small file through here and just make sure these are nice and smooth again. And after I put the crown in this tracker bar and I sand this smooth, this will get a couple of coats of lacquer on it, and I'll probably go in there and pressure test this again if need be. I'll use a little super glue on there one more time, and that'll take care of that.